There were heartbreaking scenes in Conception Bay North today as all remaining wildfire evacuation orders were officially lifted.
For the first time in weeks, residents were allowed to return to their communities to take in the scope of the damage left behind. NTV's Bailey Howard joins us live with tonight's top news story. Hi, Bailey.
Hi, Beth. You know, saying that these scenes were heartbreaking today is almost an understatement. For the first time in almost a month, residents along the Conception Bay North were able to return home, many of them for the first time in almost a month. And they were met with much devastation when they got there. Some of them, you know, we spoke to residents today who were relieved to hear that the evacuation orders were lifted, and many were excited to hear that that was finally happening. But many weren't prepared for what they were going to return home to. I'm standing here overlooking Western Bay and Ochre Cove, which are two of the communities that were hit the hardest by the Kingston wildfire. Many residents today made their way home and were met with, you know, the scenes that they saw from their homes, which many of them were no longer standing. And now today, I want to be clear that we're not going to be showing footage of these homes because we understand that there's many residents that have not yet been able to return home and see, you know, what they are returning home to and what is left from their homes. But we did want to really emphasize that the devastation that these communities are impacted by and to tell the stories of these residents. And so here's a little bit about that.
To actually finally get eyes, you know, on your own property, or unfortunately for those people that lost their property, I think that was the time that, you know, things really set in.
The evacuation order for the remaining Conception Bay North communities came this morning as town officials spoke to media about the devastation residents in Small Point, Adams Cove, Blackhead, Broad Cove were faced with on Thursday, as the town still grapples with the devastation from the last fire, which destroyed 12 homes in May.
I mean, there's been that many fires on the shore over the summer, so we've never really ended the May fire. So this is one continuation just of what started in May.
And that reality was close to home for members of the North Shore Volunteer Fire Department, those on the front lines during the fire. Chief Roger Gillingham says at least 5 of the 30 members of their team have lost their homes.
We've never seen anything like this, obviously, before, and hopefully we'll never see it again.
Adams Cove resident Scott Chandler was the face that greeted his fellow evacuees for weeks at the evacuation centres at Carbonear Academy and Pursalvik School. He says despite learning the news that his home in Adams Cove was lost to the fire on August 6th, the reality is only really setting in now, after seeing where his home once stood for the first time.
It was really emotional to see just my home destroyed. Like I told you, I saw this blue item in the wreckage, and it was a Le Creuset pot. It made it. So that was really emotional. My wife took it hard. We didn't take her son back. He doesn't need to see that.
Despite this, Chandler is leading the charge at the Salem Centre in Small Point today, once again helping his neighbours. And beyond the close to 200 homes lost in the region were other community hubs, including Cabot Academy in Western Bay. Chandler's 8-year-old son is also faced with the reality that he won't be returning to Cabot Academy for school this year.
He told me, you know, Dad, once a Cabot bee, always a Cabot bee. So he has that. And he's excited to go to the Carbonear Academy school, but like he said, Dad, I have all these memories of that school, and he's holding on to them dear.
The school of 60 students and 11 teachers is now unrecognizable, with nothing left but debris. And for some, returning to their home still standing comes with a feeling of survivor's guilt. That was the case for Mayor Delaney.
You know, some people, even like myself, my home is actually still standing. But I look and I say, well, why is my home standing and someone else is gone? And that's a hard pill to swallow as well. It's like, how do you deal with that?
But one message is clear from the communities and their residents. They will rebuild.
At the time when all this started, I didn't know if I was going to have a home to come back to. But, you know, my roots are here, and somehow I'd be back here. I didn't know how that was going to look, but I'd be here. So, I mean, and I think, like I said, a lot of people are the same mindset. You know, this is home.
And I'm lost for words here, just hearing from residents today and really seeing, their reactions as they went home for the first time today in many weeks, and to see what that reality looks like. And while we didn't show images of those homes, I think you could imagine what some of these homes really look like just from seeing the devastation of some of those fixtures there, which was the old school in Adams Cove, Cabot Academy in Western Bay, and some of the forested areas like where I'm standing right here above Western Bay and Ochre Pit Cove. Now, one thing was clear, not only is the community ready to rebuild, but folks were feeling very hopeful about the possibility of rebuilding the North Shore. And that's something that they hope to see in the weeks and months to come, with help from the province and from the federal government. And we'll see what that looks like moving forward. But at NTV News, we'll continue to share the stories from Conception Bay North and the rebuilding of the North Shore as this journey continues for residents here.